Well, the Justice Department is bent on going after corrupt officials in a number of agencies following the instructions of President Duterte. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevarra earlier said the mega task force that will conduct the investigation will also file cases with the Office of the Ombudsman. We now go above and beyond the headlines with Justice Undersecretary Emmeline Aglipay-Villar. Good evening, Yusek Villar. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Good evening, Pia.
Yes, well, Yusek Villar, let's begin with this. Now, this is a very tall order. You have a mega task force going after a mega problem. This has been going on for decades. What exactly will be the scope and the parameters of the job of this mega task force? And is this going to be finished before President Duterte steps down from office? That's already in 2022 years from now.
The task force is directed to investigate all allegations of corruption in the entire government and prioritized based on the gravity of the alleged corruption and its impact on the delivery of services to the public. We were given a lifetime, the task force was given a lifetime of until 30 June of 2022, which is the end of the president's term.
All right. When you say end of the president's term, June 2022, by then you will be filing the cases, or you're going to be doing that long before he steps down?
As soon as the investigation is completed, then we can file the cases that are involved in the investigation. So there will be separate panels to be created involving different agencies, and these panels will be able to determine after they conduct the investigation what particular charges will be filed.
Okay. When you talk about, ma'am, when you talk about the priority, and the gravity of the allegations, what exactly do you mean? Who's going to say na ito, mas malaking sa dito sa isang department, those who's going to say which one is the graver problem and which one gets the more attention?
The task force will have a core group that will determine which particular allegations of corruption should be prioritized. So maybe the basis could be the amount involved or maybe the extent of the corruption, whether or not it involves the entire department, or as in the case of the BI, and the entire those involved in the port operations are involved. Almost the entire team is involved in the pastillas scheme. So it depends on what the core group would decide, and the core group of the task force is yet to convene.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am, what are you looking at in terms of this issue, in terms of your role in the probe, because your husband is DPWH Secretary Mark Villar, and the DPWH is one of the agencies that's going to be investigated.
I will not take part in investigating the DPWH, given that there is a conflict of interest. And I will just act as the spokesperson of the Department of Justice. So maybe in the future, the task force would designate its own spokesperson. But as to the investigation to be conducted of the DPWH, I will not take part.
Okay. What do you think observation have put forward this opinion that we already have the Ombudsman, the Office of the Ombudsman. We have this Sandigan Bayan, no? Bakit, ang dami nagtatanong, bakit kailangan pa ng isa pang mega task force above and beyond and apart from the Office of the Ombudsman that can do that work?
The Ombudsman is just one agency. It's correct that it is tasked to investigate and prosecute cases of corruption involving public officers. But it's also known that it lacks investigators to be able to effectively really make an impact to end corruption. And that is why it's best that the other agencies who also independently have their own efforts to lessen corruption or investigate corruption, such as the PACC, the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, as well as the NBI. The NBI has this anti-graft and corruption division also. But working together, the president believes that's why he created this task force. The president believes that working together, all these agencies and more agencies will be called upon to help the task force. A concerted effort and a coordinated effort would be able to deliver a bigger response against corruption.
Well, speaking of President Duterte, as you mentioned him, Yusek Villar, he did clear Health Secretary Francisco Duque and your husband of the DPW.
Task force is starting off on the wrong foot precisely because of this. What do you think of that?
Well, the president expressed that he has full trust and confidence in Secretary Duque and Secretary Villar. However, this does not mean that they are exempt. He also said in his memorandum that all government officials and even private individuals are part of the investigation. And if it is found after the investigation that they are part of the corruption, then the president said that they should be charged and prosecuted.
Last question, Yusek Villar, can ordinary citizens report corruption cases to you, and how are they going to do that? And will you require evidence, or will it be enough for people, phone in some information and then?
Well, the Department of Justice welcomes any information that the public may want to reveal regarding anomalous and corrupt practices within agencies of the government. However, of course, these have to be verified, and that's the job of the task force as well, to be able to filter which complaints or which phone-in tips would merit the attention of the task force.
And isang pahabol na tanong na lang po, Yusek Villar, will the Duterte administration finally get rid of corruption in government?
The president mentioned that it's nearly impossible to totally eliminate corruption. There is some corruption even in those countries who are ranked high in terms of the corruption perception index. However, what we want to achieve is to significantly lessen, if not totally eradicate, corruption.
All right. Undersecretary Emmeline Aglipay-Villar of the Justice Department, thank you very much, ma'am, for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.